So I want to thank you all in advance for listening to me share my gun violence survivor story. I'm also going to take a minute to pile on as to why we need to do something now, and I'm also going to give each of us something that we can tangibly do now, here, today, while we're here. If you're ready, and if you do so, I've got a little gift for you at the end. So, my name is Howie. You can call me Howie. Fertig. I live in Wayne, New Jersey, and I'm a husband, a father, a brother, and an uncle, and I'm a gun violence survivor. People who knew my father, Sheldon Fertig, and me, or who've seen pictures of my dad and me, often remark on how much we look alike, and that makes me smile. When I was little, we called my dad the ice cream man. He sold 5-gallon drums of my favorite dessert to restaurants and institutions. And on hot summer nights, he'd come home really late, and he would pick me up at the door, and he'd call me Gab the Gabe. My middle name is Gabe. He'd carry me into my parents' bedroom. He'd peel off layers of sweaty thermal underwear, and he'd say, "Howard, Gabe, don't get paid for your brawn, get paid for your brains." And that always stayed with me. He used to love to sing in the shower, especially the song, The Impossible Dream, from the Broadway musical Man of La Mancha, which, if you don't know, is an aspirational story about doing the right thing no matter who you are, no matter what the cost. And that was part of my family's culture back then. We were also very involved in our synagogue. My father in the mid-70s was president of the synagogue of the temple, and he was sworn in by one of our first women congressmen, Bella Abzug. My mother, my little sisters, and I were very proud of my dad. Then, on October 23rd, 1976, my father was killed and my mother was critically injured in a robbery at our family store. It was the first Saturday in a long time that I took off. I was a college freshman and I was visiting a friend who started school out of town. I came home that day. I told my 10-year-old and my 14-year-old sisters that our father had been murdered that morning and that our mother was hospitalized with a broken pelvic bone, and she wouldn't be home for weeks. We buried my father with the help of family and friends. We mourned for a week. I took a leave of absence, and I went to work full-time in the family store until my mother healed. The first order of business was going in and mopping up my father's dried blood from the spot where he was killed 10 days before. For the next year, every day, I smoked marijuana, pot, I got high. And every night I would drive to the park, crank up the music, smoke a joint, and when the Billy Joel song, Captain Jack, about a teenager whose father committed suicide and who felt nothing but emptiness all the time, when that song came on, that's when I did the singing. Fast forward 10 years, I'm an art teacher for emotionally handicapped boys whose parents have lost custody of them. I could not believe how these kids would act in class until I read their case studies. And then I felt if I were them, I would act worse. Then after reading those case studies, I imagined these kids growing up, finding it hard to get a job, hard to keep a job. And if they were desperate for money, and given the gun laws we had then, and to a great extent we still have today around this country, they were able to get a gun, maybe they'd rob a store. And if that holdup went awry, maybe they'd shoot somebody. Maybe they'd kill somebody. I also saw scenarios where parents got their act together and they regained custody. And those kids started to smile. And those kids started to learn. And I saw firsthand, up close and personal, what love can do anywhere, for anyone and everyone. Around that time, I started going for therapy. Back then, it wasn't something that was accepted. For me, it was court-ordered. I was arrested for possession of drugs in Disneyland. They say it's the happiest place on earth. The first 6 months was court-ordered, and after I fulfilled my probation, I continued going to therapy for 7 years of my own accord. And to this day, I feel like that therapist saved my life. And every year I call her, I just did this yesterday, to tell her what I'm doing, or to remind her and to thank her for that. So that's my story. So the day before my father was killed, I never thought it would happen to me. And if I'm you, and I'm living in Morristown, which is a gorgeous area, why would I think it would happen to me here? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to Sandy Hook? Newtown, Bethel? It's a beautiful area. Looks just like this. Have you ever been to Parkland?
Yes.
It's a nice area too. I looked up Columbine, which I've never been to, which is a suburb outside of Denver. The median income is higher than it is in this area. So what are we waiting for? If we don't do this now, when are we going to do this? Right? More data, 33,323 people on average every year, based on the information from the Center of Disease Control, are killed by gun violence. Every day today, there are on average 100 people who are being killed by guns. If we don't do this now, when are we going to do it? So here's the action. Let me ask you a question if you're ready for this. This is what I did. So I'm asking you to do what I did without suffering the consequences, right? You can just go to momsdemandaction.org. You can donate. You can buy some merch. You can get this t-shirt. But you can't get this survivor pin. This is not for sale. And you don't want to earn it. And if you want to do everything you possibly can to not earn this pin, then I'm asking you if you're ready to join us, to join Moms Demand Action. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
3 simple steps. And if I could do this, which I did, you can do this, right? You text. If you got your cell phone now, I won't feel it's rude. God knows people are always looking at their phones when I'm talking. Take your phone out now, or if you don't want to do it now right after, take it out and text the word ready. That's why I'm asking if you're ready. Text ready to 64433. Just text ready to 64433. You're going to get a response. It's going to ask for your zip. You give them your zip. It's going to show you, they're going to let you know where the local Moms Demand Action group is. And there are over 400 groups in this country, all right? When Shannon Watt started the organization after Sandy Hook, we now have over 4 million members. But we need more all over the country. And think about how great you're going to feel when you join, when you can tell your kids, when you can tell your parents, your friends, your loved ones, especially ones who aren't in as gun sense law as in a state like we have here, where there are sensible gun laws that are being enacted, especially when they're in other states and other parts of the country. Imagine how great you're going to feel, because this is going to happen. We're going to do this. So be part of it and join us right now, today. Do something tangible in addition to what we're talking about, right? So here's the gift. The gift is that if you join us and you go to a meeting, the next meeting, it's coming in within the next few weeks, it's just an hour of your time. You're going to be able to take whatever strengths you have, whatever skills you have, whatever you love to do, especially if you're not able to do them in your work of employment. And you're going to be able to contribute. And you're going to feel so great about that. And you're going to hear other stories like mine. And you're going to know how precious life is. Because I can tell you, this happened 42 years ago. This is the first time I'm telling the story in public. And you never fill that void. You never fill that void. So if you want to appreciate every day without having to lose somebody, join us. And in closing, the way that this feels most tangible to me on a day-to-day basis is with the following saying, which you may have heard. Yesterday, it's history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why we call it the present. So I wish you and your loved ones the ability to unwrap your gift every day for years and years to come. And thank you in advance for supporting us, for contributing to us, and for joining us in enacting sensible gun laws and eradicating gun violence from our United States.